Hey, are you a business owner, entrepreneur, or professional? If so, we want you to apply to be a featured guest on our show. My name is Adam Torres, and I host the Mission Matters series of podcasts. I've recorded over 3,000 episodes, and we are just getting started. How do you know if you'd be a good guest to be on the show? Well, only one way to find out, and that's to apply, but I'm going to let you in on a little secret. We want guests that have a story to tell, guests with a brand, a product, or a service that can benefit my audience of listeners. If this sounds like you, go to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. I'd love to talk to you and get to know more about your story. Again, head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, now let's get into the show. I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Marketing Podcast, your source for all things marketing. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to become a co-author in one of our upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so big announcement today for all our longtime listeners. So we are starting a brand new series, and on this series, I'm actually bringing on a co-host for the very first time, so I'm so excited for this. And the co-host, he's no stranger to Mission Matters or what we've been doing. I'm a longtime fan of his, and I'm excited when him and I decided to come together to collaborate on this show. So I guess without further ado, let me keep you from waiting over there. So I have Qamar Zaman will be the co-host for this special series of Mission Matters Marketing. So, hey, Qamar, welcome, and I'm pumped to work on this project with you.
Hey, Adam, this is history in making, and I'm so excited to be part of Mission Matters podcast, your team, your family, everything. So excited.
Man, so in prepping for this show, I was trying to take it back to the beginning of our relationship when we first started working with each other. So, I mean, I feel like how many years have we been working on marketing and different projects with each other now? I think we're going on two years or something like that. Am I right?
This third year, actually. Yeah. 3 years.
Man,
yeah.
Time flies when you're having fun, right?
Yes.
So for everybody listening, I mean, one of our big deals here and one of the things that we're doing and why I'm bringing on Qamar as a co-host is really Qamar's been my secret weapon for a long time on different marketing things and things that we've done at Mission Matters. And so I was thinking about it. I'm like, I have to bring this. We were having a conversation just as we normally do. I'm calling Qamar, asking his opinion on some of the things that I'm working on or that we're working on at a company. And I'm like, you know what, Qamar, our conversations are awesome. We need to record these things because other people need to benefit from your knowledge and what's going on. And I guess that's how the whole show evolved. And Qamar's like, yeah, we'll do it. We want to get this information out to the masses, and we want everybody to benefit from it. So for those that aren't that familiar with your background as much, even though you've been on the show quite a few times and helped in other target areas, maybe just start off, Qamar, with a brief introduction about your background and history in marketing to set the stage.
Sure. So the name is, I am originally from Pakistan, and I moved to the U.S. I actually came to study here, went to Michigan State. I came to be a pre-med. I was about to become a doctor. My dad got sick, passed away, and as a result, I had to retract and just use my skills in computer science and completed the degree so I can, manage his business. Fast forward, I actually helped him help the business, and then I stayed in America to pursue what I wanted to pursue. And my first job was in software development, and my very first job in software development was in a very small company in the Cayman Islands. I was visiting. I had some friends there, so I was visiting. I saw this small ad in the paper. So the Cayman Islands, the way it is there's this very small paper, probably like 10 pages, and it comes out on every Friday, and people read it in those days. And I saw an ad, and it was an ad by a company called Financial Systems. They were looking for a banking software support specialist with knowledge of COBOL programming and knowledge of banking. And it didn't seem right that the ad was asking for something that most people would not have on such an island except for me. And I was visiting, I was just visiting. So I said to my friend, should I apply? He says, I don't think they will give you this job because this is probably a work permit renewal for somebody. and this ads looked like that. So I said, I'm going to still apply. I applied for the job, and very next day, I got a call from a guy by the name of Peter Galliot out of England, and he said that, can you fly into London and I'll come and pick you up, which I did, and I got the very first job and was trained in Guernsey in the Channel Islands, and they put me into the business. And I was a software developer, but I also helped them market the very first product the product was called Microbank, and it was the PC-based banking software, in those days of mainframes,
What year was this, roughly?
This
is a while ago. This is you were cutting edge, to be clear.
Yeah, 1990.
1990, working on a project like this. So this is like Elon Musk going to the moon right now. Like, this is crazy stuff.
Yes, this was very crazy. And, they hired me. I helped them promote. They had 2 accounts in the Cayman Islands, and I helped them promote to all the banks. It was cutting edge. The software itself was a moonshot, so it's like a black swan for the banking industry. So I became so successful, and it was the marketing background. I had a lot of banking background. Dad was in banking, so I learned banking. It was in my DNA. But marketing is something, I just talk to people, interact. So I would talk to people and, go and give a demo, and it was sold. It's, $100,000 for a software. I was making 20% commission. So I was like minting money, cost of living was not that expensive. So that's how it all started. And I worked there. The company got bought out by a big company, and I wanted to go and finish my MBA. So I came to the US, and I would travel every weekend to do my MBA in Miami. There's a school called Nova Southwestern, and I did my MBA from there, and went back to the Cayman Islands, got a job with a company that was the dealer for Motorola, the local. I worked there, and I worked in technology and engineering as a GM. And I was visiting Dallas, and when I visited Dallas for training, I got a job offer to work for Oracle, and I worked in Oracle for a few years. And I was burnt out. There was a lot of politics, and I'm a very straightforward guy, so, don't really work out very well for me. So as soon as I got my green card, I said, it's time to jump. So I started my business. And while I knew marketing, I knew everything, didn't know SEO, I learned everything on my own. The challenge was that how do I get business? So I had to invent marketing for Qamar. I mean, marketing exists, since early ages, but I had to invent marketing for me. So I had to, dig deeper, and I started this blog, which was
What year was this? What year was this? I'm curious, like roughly.
This was in 1995.
Man, and so this is my point. So like sometimes when you're saying you're inventing marketing for Qamar, like you literally are, because at this point your business in the boxes, your marketing agencies, like a lot of the things for small business owners didn't even exist. Sure, if you were a big company like Oracle or something else, great, but like you couldn't just go on and hire a lead gen service or something else. Like you literally had to build it.
I did. I rented an office for $200 in an executive suite, one of those flexible offices, the cheapest office I could find. And I would sit there and write the software because I knew how to. I knew the graphics and the web, etc. So I knew that. And I built the website, and I have a software that I built, the first generation of KISPR. And now who's going to come to me, So in that process, what I did was, and this is funny because I think you will connect to it. So I built a WordPress website, and in the section of the website, I created a section called News. And every day I would write, not a blog, but something newsworthy that felt like educational. It smelled like educational, but it was marketing. Okay. And I published it.
So the original native ad.
Yeah, the original native ad, and I'll go back to you and I'll tell you why I did it. So I published it, and when I published the ad or the article, 3 or 4 days later, when I searched for Dallas SEO company, my blog was on the first page, and I had leapfrogged with the top agencies. There was an agency here called Zinch, and there were other Advise Interactive, and I was on the first page, Adam, and I'm thinking, what just happened? Well, what is this? It's like, this can't be right, So I thought maybe I got lucky, and then 2 days later, I was scared. I said, well, if I post something, maybe this will go away. So 2 days later, I posted another piece of content and with different keywords, and that got ranked. So I thought that I have something different. Maybe it's the blessing, but I knew something different. And I started to get calls from people, and they said, we found you. Can you write a blog and put it on your website? And I'll say, sure. And they say, how much will it cost? Says, I've never done this. I'll do it for $10. Okay, because I didn't really have a job. I didn't know my own value. I knew,
You still doing blog posts for $10, Qamar? Because I need some help over here. No, I'm just. That's 1995 prices. So if we're like same for inflation, all right, never mind. Oh wow, what a steal. Go ahead.
so here's the first lesson in marketing. So on my page, on that price page, when I started getting a lot of business, $10, I was busy. On my price page, I had 3 columns, okay? 3 columns. The first column was for $10. The second column was for $19.95. And then the third column was $2,000. Okay?
Wow.
So the first column, the $10 was, blog writing. The second column was blog writing and distribution. And the third column was digital marketing. And then I had shock and awe for $2,000. Guess where I had the highest conversion?
Wow, which one?
It was the 1995. Because I learned that nobody wanted to write, and they wanted writing and distribution, and it was in the center, and the price was not that big of a difference. Like 10 to 20 was not big of a difference because the value was immense, right?
Of course. Mm-hmm.
And guess what was the name of that 1995 product? The first one was just a blog. The center one, the 1995, was called KISS. And it was called KISS, PR, and KISS, at that time, KISS stand for Keep It Super Simple for the Search Engines, and PR was just public relations, okay? So I took that, bought the domain for $3,000. KISS PR was selling for $3,000. I bought it. And that's when I really started to think that this is something that I needed to amplify. And I kept on doing it. I didn't really got into, still, I didn't have a lot of venture capital. It was all self-funded. And I did like 50 stories a month, paid the bills, and I was really a lean startup. And then I get a phone call. And I get a call from a guy. He is now my partner, and he said to me, I'm coming to Dallas, and you have been highly recommended by one of the attorneys in Florida. Can you help me market their law firm? And I said, well, when you come to Dallas, give me a call. And he was staying at the W Hotel. I was supposed to meet him at 8:00. And this is another lesson of one should learn from business, not just marketing. So my meeting was with this guy, Renee, at 8. I went there. This guy did not show up till 9. And typically, the kind of person I am, if you tell me 8, it's 8, maybe 8:05. If you're late, I will never do business with you. That's how I am. It's just my DNA.
Hold on, Qamar. This is not, my dad's from Puerto Rico. This is not Islander logic. Where'd you get this one from? I'm just throwing that out there. I had to throw out the Islander thing.
So this is not an Islander logic, because growing up, I grew up in the military school, so very disciplined.
There it is. Okay, I got it.
Shine my shoes had to be at the bunker.
I had to call this out though, because this is because it didn't match for a moment. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm wearing like Islanders sometimes, like not stereotyping, but maybe I am. Go ahead.
Yeah, but discipline. So this lesson is about discipline. So anyway, I met Renee at 9, And he says, I'm sorry, I was stuck in the meeting. He says, okay, well, what do you want me to do? He says that I want to promote this law firm in Chicago. The name of the law firm was Power Rogers, and you can help me. We have had this SEO guy that we have been paying $10,000 a month, and we haven't got first page of Google. We are not even on the 10th page of Google. And I said, okay, retain me, and I'll take a look. He did retain me right away. I looked at it, and I said, send me the login and passwords for the website. He did, and I wrote 3 articles, okay? Fixed the data and the meta tag, looked at under the hood, and in less than 3 weeks, the firm was on the first page of Google for Chicago personal injury lawyers, Chicago injury lawyers. Like, you think about Chicago and anything they did, they were on the first page of Google. So the law firm was like, what happened? Why did you take 10 months? Anyhow, they told them, well, we brought in another engineer. He did something. So Rene started to believe in me, and he felt that, and I don't BS, so I just told him exactly what I did. And so then we started to use more of the news technology to build the systems. And that's when we did another breakthrough. You want to listen about that breakthrough?
Do it. I'm in.
Okay. So we get a call from a client of Rene, or a prospect for Rene. This is a major law firm, 150 attorneys in New York. 9/11 had happened, and they were looking for marketing firm to get them cases for the New York firefighters class action lawsuit. And they were looking for that kind of business. So he said, can you meet me in Manhattan? And I said, okay, I'm going to meet you. We booked the seats. We flew in there. And that morning, I took the Southwest Airlines flight, 7 o'clock. The flight was running late by about an hour. So I thought, you know what? I should write an article and put it on that $20 blog that I did. And I published it in there, and I left it. I went, and we were waiting for this meeting to happen at 1. We are waiting. It's 2 o'clock. I'm getting really antsy because I don't like to be late. Rene's fine. We're just waiting, and the partner comes in, and he said to his secretary that bring a check for $25,000, and there's the contract. And Rene had not pitched. I never did the pitches. I was just the geek. He just took me as the engineer. So Rene usually do the pitches. So he had done nothing. So they brought the contract. It was a $300,000, $650,000 contract to market this firm. That was our first breakthrough that we got, almost about $50,000 in marketing per month. And guess what I did? I had just written an article about 9/11 and how a law firm can help. And I had tagged these people. And that morning, around 11 o'clock, while we were still in the plane, somebody from the 9/11 Commission searched. He found the article for that particular law firm. He called the partner. He says, I found your article. He says, we didn't write an article. He says, apparently somebody did. So we would like to talk to you. And they were talking. And that's the reason he was late.
Wow.
And the news syndication system just opened up the doors for me and Rene. And at that point, we knew that we needed to do something better. This was a Mickey Mouse operation. We had to do something better. And what was better was my news, the $20 story system that I had created. It was just a native blog. I was just publishing content. It was getting into Google News, web results. We didn't have any downstream partners. We didn't have the Yahoos, the Foxes and all of that. So I spent the next 10 years and gray hair into reverse engineering what the big wire services do. And that's where it was an eye-opener. It's all bullshit baffling the brain, literally. like what they do and what they charge, and when things don't work, like PR has been there for a long time. I'm not going to mention people's, company's name, but PR has been there for a long time. But PR has become just a journalistic approach. Well, you have a PR, you write a PR, that's it. But PR, nobody thinks that you can actually generate business from PR. Like leads that actually turn into prospects and paying customers. And that's what we did. We solved that problem. And especially in 2019-20, during the COVID, we pivoted our system. We gave almost like 30,000 people free stories just to help people. And we turned a lot of the stories, people's stories, into press releases, and since then, there is a major change, which we're going to cover that. So the whole goal of this marketing was, marketing is great. It's for few people. The small businesses don't understand it. They don't have the funds to do it. And when they call an SEO company, the SEO company is going to say, yeah, I'm going to charge you $10,000 for SEO. How do you substantiate? And if you do, you get, I call it the invoice fatigue. You pay for 6 months, 60,000, and you don't have anything, nothing. And that's the problem I am solving every single day with these press releases that are working like fire starters for small businesses. So I feel compassionate. Yeah.
I want to get into and that's great, by the way, and I appreciate the background. And the reason why I wanted to get all that background out there was to kind of, for our audience, to kind of speed up the level of them understanding your knowledge, your background, and also just where you've been. And that's why I kept asking you, like, what date was this? And I'm thinking, okay, 1995. So let's see, I think I was almost going into high school then. I think so. I think I started high school in 96. So let's just say that I wasn't thinking about some of the things that you were thinking about at that point in time. Heck, I'm probably still not, and that's one of the other reasons I'm glad to have you on the show so I can catch up to you sometime. So this is awesome. So what are some of your ideas for the flow and for the overall show, and just really what you want our audience to get out of this? Because I know I have some ideas, and I'm going to throw them out there, but I want to start by giving you the stage.
Right. So, I've been approached by many people. I've written 2 books. I've written books with you. I've been approached. I've actually fully written the books, but the challenge with the book is that you have to read the book, and we don't have the time these days. And the second problem is that somebody has to hold your hand. So my thoughts were that I want to have a technical piece. Book is a document, but I want to have a technical piece that I want to simplify so much that this can help from the plumbers, the roofers, anybody that can benefit and earn a living with their website and services with this free content that we are delivering, and kind of holds their hand. And I know there's a system behind it because I've been doing it. And I call it the KISSPR 9-step process. So the purpose of the show or the podcast is break it down in that 9-step process, which consists of actually 81 steps. I want to break it down in each segment so we discuss that specifically, talk about it, and then get people's feedback. So when we talk about the next one, we can have some Q&As and people can ask questions and we can answer those questions also. So it could be interactive if we take some questions. But I want you to imagine, because this is not a video-based show, so I want you to imagine, think of this as a building that has 3 stories, okay? And each story has, or each level has 3 apartments, okay? So our building consists of 3 stories only, and each floor has 3 apartments. So then we have 9 apartments in the total. So the first layer, or the first floor, it's called the foundation. Floor number 2 is called awareness, and floor number 3 is called eat. so we can all eat together. But each stands for expertise, authority, and trust. So my goal is to explain the way I just explained it. In our building, we have 3 floors: foundation, awareness, and eat. And then in each floor, there are 3 apartments, and each apartment has a name, and it's a function of marketing. So I want to break it down to ridiculous to make it so simple that people can understand and then apply what they listen to this. And hopefully, when this is all said and done, we are turning that into a book. So they can listen and then follow the book. So chapter 1 would be exactly what we talked about in episode number 2, etc. So they will have a book at the end, a key takeaway, and then they will have these audios evergreen like that. So that's really the big mission of, the marketing concept.
Yeah, I love it. And so essentially what we're going to be doing is teaching a master class throughout, this series and going through it. And the real idea here is to give actionable things that people that they can do, to not stay in just the theory land and other things, and really use real world relatable examples and thought processes that we're actually using like today and right now. So when you say things like as you mentioned, can PR help you generate business? How does marketing work? Like those type of things. I mean, our entire business here was created off of that and off of inbound marketing and inbound leads and generating inbound leads. So how did we do that? Like, what was that process like? Like, there's constant reiterations. There's constant, what does it look like when you take a product from, inception to then, okay, people are buying it. So now what do you do with it, right? Now, do you scale it? Is it scalable? Yeah. I mean, all of these different things that come into play when you're trying to create or do something new. It's not easy. Like you said in the beginning that you were, you were thinking about how to do marketing for Qamar. I mean, that was before you had, I would argue, and maybe they were there, but again, I was in middle school, so I don't know. I was just going into high school. So I don't know if podcasts existed back then or if it was just radio. And I don't know if they were marketing shows like this where somebody could tune in and then and get the information and apply it real time and also see what's working and what's not. Because the other thing is that the landscape evolves. Like sometimes things don't end up working as they did at one point, but the principles remain the same. So can you talk a little bit about the principles and specifically this whole series for the audience, just for context, as Qamar mentioned, we will be going and doing a deep dive into these components, but can you maybe keep it high level and just talk about the overall principle of what brand story looks like and some of the things that the listeners are going to get throughout this series?
Correct. So before I do that, like you said, you were in middle school or high school. There was no podcast. There was no radio accessible to the small pocketbook. Obviously, radio has been, talk radio has been available. No person, small business can even advertise. It's expensive. So that's where I want to come and explain to you. So the ultimate goal of it is that you can take whatever your business is, and a lot of people might think, well, my business is different, yours is different. No, I'll teach you, irrespective of your business. So the first thing before, and that's the floor number 1, the foundation floor, will have who are you targeting to. In other words, we call it the avatar stage. In other words, if you are a carpet cleaner and you are selling $69 carpet cleaning service in a area where people overall socioeconomic income is $23,000 a year, they can't even afford the $69. So you have to know where you want to target this whole marketing to. So our step 1 or the studio 1 or the room 1 is the avatar. So in this process, we're going to teach you, we're going to help you understand who is the right kind of audience you want to go for. Where is that audience so you can go and find them through digital, and then you can also then give them that message, how to talk to that audience. Because if you are at a Mercedes dealership and you're trying to buy a Mercedes, the guy that is going to sell you a $70,000 car, if he doesn't talk to you like in that manner, he lost the sale. So the messaging, the second part is the messaging, is that the room number 2 is where we teach you, once you know who is your ideal customer, then how do you talk to them? So that's the messaging part, number 2. And then once you have the messaging done, we call it, how do you put that message into a piece of authority, okay, so that message is found, okay? So it's called the position of authority. So your message is actually found and is heard and all of that. So for example, if we were to break it down, podcast, you're talking to CEOs through your podcast, your messaging, you are synthesizing the messages they understand, but your positioning is on podcast. So we talk about that. And then the next place is, where does the transaction happen? Does the transaction happen on the podcast? No. The podcast is a purpose where people listen, but at the end of the day, you had a call to action. If you want to be an author, you want to appear on my podcast, go join this. You did it in the beginning. You had a call to action at the end. So that's a funnel. So we will teach them how to funnel it, etc. And then once the funnel is, that's where the lead comes in. And then the next process is, now you are building a customer journey. Your customer has raised the hand. He has said, well, okay, give it to me. Okay. How do you take that, give it to me, the guy that raised the hand, and turn that into a paying customer? And if he did not become a paying customer, how can you keep bringing him back till he feels that I'm a fool if I don't do business with Adam Torres? That's the feeling that they need to have. So that's called the map of the whole marketing. Once that is done, the goal is then, how do we take that customer who only bought from us $1,000 product? How do we take them to a level where we can ascend them? They can buy more from us. They involved into something else. So it's another process, and there are steps into that. And then once that person has ascended and now he's Qamar, basically I'm at that level where first I came in, and then, we partnered as a book, and then we partnered in multiple other things, and then we ascended. Now we are talking together. I'm a co-host. Now it didn't happen day one, right? But it happened because you knew something you were doing right, and I was there patiently waiting, So that is, now we are actually amplifying the message for both of us. Then we are going to convert all. So this whole process of our real world experience, the digital world, etc., the podcast, we can then ask those questions like, what is the perfect customer? And then we can have a clubhouse event. Okay, Qamar, in your last show, you talk about it. So let's do a Q&A on that particular subject. So let's say 10 people come in and they just ask the question. So this is like going to the class, and the clubhouse would be like, how we used to have a lab in the college where you went to the class, but then you also went to the lab to practice. So clubhouse will be where we practice, and this is where we listen and do the thing. So the whole process of the, and I've obviously given you very big overview.
And that's what we wanted. That's episode 1. We want that big overview. Why? Because we want our audience hooked, and we want them coming back for these other episodes, and we want them definitely joining the Clubhouse club and really just getting it going. So, I'm excited. I'm excited to go on this journey with you.
Yeah, and just to give you the idea, I don't know about your business model, but I did this in the last, I've been doing this for a long time, but I really converted this whole process into this predictable model in the last 18 months. And we have had a 9-figure growth in this business from a $2,000 investment. So this is not difficult. This can be achieved by anybody that is listening, but all you have to do is come, listen, practice, and then use it. You have to do it. You have to move from discomfort, from your comfort zone, to be discomfortable for a while, and that's the only way you're going to be successful. You can't be successful if you're always in comfort zone. You have to put yourself in discomfort. That's what I have done. That's what you have done. That's what all the 3,500 people that I listen to on podcasts, Mission Matters, they had to move the needle to be discomfortable, to be able to be comfortable.
No, that's great. Well, Qamar, I think we did a good job on this first one. I'm just going to pat ourselves on the back. I mean, we gave the audience your background, what you're up to, why you're qualified to do what you do and to teach this really master class on marketing and teach the entire thought process behind KISS PR. And I'm excited to go through the journey with you to get some of the nuts and bolts and tune up our skills over here too, because we know you're a wealth of knowledge there. And to the audience, definitely tune in for this. This is going to be a great class. We're going to also, as Qamar mentioned, do the accompanying clubhouse sessions for this too. So the Mission Matters Club, it's already up and ready. So you'll be able to go on Clubhouse and you can already see it and join as a member there. And that's where the announcements will be hosted for when we'll be doing these individual marketing classes. So definitely go to that. And if you don't have Clubhouse yet, definitely download that if you haven't heard of it or anything like that. It's a big deal, and it's really the interaction part of this. So any last words on your end, Qamar, before we call this a wrap?
Well, my last words were, I think I just accidentally made Chirag very busy by adding Clubhouse to that.
Throw Chirag under the bus. That's my favorite thing to do. We give him more work, so I'm in. When he hears this, he's gonna laugh. All right, well, there you go. Well, thanks for coming on and co-hosting this show with me, Qamar. This is gonna be great. I'm excited to go and do what we're going to do. I think we're going to create some great content together. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. I hope you got a lot of value out of this, because the value is just beginning, just so you know. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Definitely want you to be a return listener or visitor also. And Qamar, thanks again, and I look forward to recording this next one with you.
Awesome. Thank you. See you next time.